Morning.
Good morning, Pramod.
Good morning.
So we are starting the session, okay? This I'm requesting a control. Approve it.
It's working, sir?
Yes, it's working. Okay, our session will start with object-oriented programming, and we will discuss classes, objects, and features of object-oriented programming. And we will later on discuss constructors and active modifiers. Let's start with object-oriented programming. So what is object-oriented programming? Object-oriented programming is a model that organizes software design around data and objects. And it is a technique and concept for organizing data and instructions. And when I say data, what data I'm talking about? I'm talking data that you initialize in your variable in text. This is data. Object I will be talking in later. So when we organize a model around data and objects, that's object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming provides a way to make programs flexible by providing memory for both data and functions. So by object-oriented programming, we provide a memory to data and objects and function methods we are using in program. You can consider object as a part of memory which is holding data and operation which can be used to access the data. And let's visit to next slide. So one thing I haven't mentioned here that object-oriented program models around class and object. And when we define in this object-oriented program, we have to write a class and we have to define a data member and inside and we have to define a member function which which in C# we call methods. In previous class, Ritik asked about can functions exist outside the class, outside the boundary of class? So the answer is functions cannot exist outside the boundary of class in C#. In other languages like C++, we can define functions outside the class and can call functions outside the class, but in C# we have to create object to call member function. And I will in further session I will discuss about how to create object, how to write class, and we'll discuss more about what class and objects are. So till here, I want to conclude that think object-oriented programming as it is all about classes and objects. Let's move to next slide. So features of object-oriented programming. Objects. Classes, data abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism. Now, what abstraction is? It is something to do with abstraction is something hiding data or from outside world. Wait a minute. So abstraction is something that For example, when you use coffee machine, you don't need to know inside details of what this inside details what how this button has been functioned. Like you make coffee, you don't need to know how this functions has been made. I mean, how inside functions. We don't need to know the inside details of the button, but we should know how this button makes coffee. So that's the abstraction. And encapsulation is something when you consolidate everything binds into a single unit, variables and methods, we achieve encapsulation. Like capsule, medicine capsule, we can relate encapsulation same as medicine capsule. Now let's talk inheritance. In object-oriented programming, we also have inheritance property. Here is Tamur. His mom Karina and his dad Saif Khan. So Tamur inherits some genes and have some features of both of the parents. But Tamur is different entity. I will relate more on talking about when we will discussing inheritance in detail in programming, how this relates to. Now polymorphism. You can see here we have rice. We purchase rice, we boil it, and becomes edible rice. So a rice have different forms. You can make this to idli. You can make this to many things. You can make many things. So main understanding is polymorphism. Same thing can be seen in different forms. I will talk this in programming perspective too. Let's move to next slide. So class and object. A class defines the structure using methods, properties, fields that resemble real world entities. It is a structure. Okay. A class contains data members, member functions, access modifiers. Class is a collection of objects. Now objects are instances of a class. When you write class, you create object to use those class members, data members, class member functions. Objects are real world entities of object-oriented programming. Let's actually something visible on your screen, black. Sorry. Now understand class and object in real life scenario. Suppose you are to build a car. What you will do? You will first design it in paper or anything, your software. After in designing, you will write some properties, what type of car you want to build, what color you want to add to it, what power it would have, what type of fuel it will take, what is it, what will be top speed, how much gears it will have. So this process is our class, and this designing process is our class. Resemble it with class, and when we build it using engineering skills and all in factory, when we build it to real life car, that's your object. In same way, in object-oriented programming, we write class, then we create object of that class. That means it's a design, then you create an object. An object will have some property, color, its property is something, tire or anything. Like this car has red color, this is Mahindra Thar. And with one class, you can create multiple objects. That means with one design, you can create multiple cars. You can car of same color, same design. You can create with same class. You can create different object with different properties. So now let's dive into how class can be, how can we create class. Till now, if anyone has any doubt, they can ask with related to class and objects.
It was clear.
Okay. Now let's dive how we will create an object. I will write code in Visual Studio too, so don't worry. You will get all perspective of how to write class and how to write object. It will be more clear when I am writing Visual Studio. So different ways to create objects are first by using new operator. A class is a reference type, and at runtime, any object of reference type is assigned a null value unless it is declared using a new operator. New operator assigns space in memory to the object only during runtime, which means allocation is dynamic. Okay, this is syntax of class. I mean object, how to create object. I'm opening my Visual Studio and sharing the screen. After I will write some code and I will explain with code what is class and what is object and how to create object. It is taking time. Okay. So I'm sharing the screen, Ashish, okay?
Okay.
Is my screen visible, Ashish?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. I'm loading a program. Now, using statement is used to include namespace in your program. My screen is visible now.
Yes, yes.
So namespace here, name I have written namespace. Namespace is a collection of classes. All classes you will be writing on namespace. Wait a second, I will write right in front of you, program right in front of you, so you will understand more. Class. Public class. Public is access modifier. Oh. Let's initialize some values and see. I'm adding data members that I have discussed in while discussing object-oriented programming and classes. Seed 120. And model. Oh. Now define method. Okay. Console dot right line. Somebody is waiting in lobby. Ashish, approve. Can approve.
This is good.
I think I should have copy pasted the code and taking too much time. Sorry. So I have written a class with data members, and I have defined a method. Let's run the program. So here in main function, we will create an object of this class car. To create object, we will write car class name, reference object name. You can write anything you any variable name you want for reference name. You write new operator and you call car constructor here. Constructor is something we will be talking about in later classes. So after this, when compiler runs this program, it creates a reference, it creates an object and put that object to the reference variable my object. Put the reference of that object to this my object reference. I'm calling this object. I'm calling this method from I'm going to run this program. it will run the method. The car is going fast as it can. I've written this program. This method has run the console write line. The parameter which was written here was car is going fast as it by. So anybody have question in this? They can ask. Ashish, share the screen.
Okay.
So we created object. Now we'll create object using If anybody has any doubt, they can ask. It will make more interactive session. Creating object using reference. The reference can be declared. Yes.
Already was
Okay.
available.
The reference can be declared only with class name, reference, and reference name. Reference cannot exist independently. This means when I'm creating reference, I cannot create reference writing a variable. We have to write class name before. It's same like defining a variable. You write a data type int, and you write a variable name. Like I've written there int speed. Same way, you write class name and create a reference. And after that, when reference variable is been created, you assign an object name. You assign an object to that reference that has been created before. Let's do this in Visual Studio. I'm sharing the screen. Now, when I have to create reference, when I have to create object using reference, I will write class name. Class name is car, and write the name of reference, like ref. Now we'll assign object to this ref. Mm, Now using that ref, I can call mm, Let's run it. Build failed. The error.
Misal,
Yes.
hello.
Hello.
Ref is a keyword. It cannot be used as identifier.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Nikhil. Now it will run. Let's run this program. So 2 times the program has. So using this ref, this reference variable, this reference, I have accessed the method member method of this class. Ashish, can you share this screen?
Okay. So, Misal, I have one question here in your program.
Yes, yes.
We have also defined here some integer values. Okay,
Ashish,
in class. In class, we have some integer values also in first class before this.
class, yes.
Okay. Hmm. So this integer variables, how we can like use this and benefit some, if you can define something with that.
Ashish, your audio is
Audio is not
buffering
clear.
a bit. Yes, yes, audio is not.
Okay,
Uh,
I'm sharing screen for
you can write in the chat. Question, you can repeat the question. I will explain.
So I was just asking that in your program, you in class inside your class, you have defined integer values now, so integer variables. So with that, something you can give me like some example of how to use that and something with that.
Oh, okay, okay. Let me share the screen. So you want me to make use of its
Like
name.
how we should and possibilities for that with that.
Okay. Yes. Let's override the override this value speed with this reference. I will call this value. Okay. Okay, two dot speed goes to 100. Right. OBJ one. Now I'm calling with the object, my object, okay?
Okay.
My obj. I'm calling the same, okay, with different object, same variable with different object. So now the speed is 100. So this explains this. When I create a reference, it doesn't create a new object of this class. When I'm creating object of with using reference, it doesn't create another new object. It That's why it overrides the value of speed.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
let's create another object with new operator. So DJ equals to new car. So when I will call this when I will call the speed, now when I will access the speed with this object, this value will be, let me check. My obj2 dot. So look, it created a now speed is 120. When I create a new object of same class car, so this means when I use new operator, it creates a new object, another object with same data member, same properties. But when I use reference to create a create an object, it creates it just gives a reference object. It just provides reference to that object. So
Okay.
using reference variable, using reference to use object, you can minimize your memory allocation. When you use new, every time there's a new object created, and it takes memory. Using reference, you can use same object in different instances using reference variable object. Ashish, share the screen.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
So we have looked the object, the way of creating an object using reference. Using Now let's look using array. If you need multiple number of objects of same class, you can create an array of objects. This will require you to declare the array and then initialize each element. This is when you want to create a collection of objects. You can write class name and object name or array object name, and you can define the size here. How many numbers of objects it will hold. I'm not going the example for array. It will take a lot of time. Let's move to encapsulation under property of object-oriented programming. Encapsulation is defined as wrapping up the data under the single unit. It means when we write a class, we define data members, we define methods, and in that way we encapsulate and wrap up the data. That's encapsulation. In different way, encapsulation is a protective shield that prevents the data from being accessed by code outside the shield. So to properly encapsulate your data, you use access modifier private. Let's accomplish this in programming. Okay, this is our class as defined as public private. Write another class. Two. Let's try to inherit it from inherit. Look, when I'm trying to inherit the class, it's showing car is inaccessible due to its protection level. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I was talking, that when I write access modifier private, it encapsulated and restricted its access to within this class. Actually, share the screen. So the variable or data class are hidden from any other class and can be accessed only through any member function of own class, which they are declared. As in encapsulation, data is hidden from other class. It is called data hiding. So we achieve data hiding using encapsulation. Let's move to other slide. Abstraction. Data abstraction is the process of hiding certain details and showing only essential information to users. Like I have discussed in previous slides, an example of a coffee maker. You don't need to know how a coffee maker works inside from inside. You just need to just click the button and make a coffee. That's same in abstraction. You hide all necessary details and produce what important features you want to. You just show what important essential information to the user. Abstraction can be achieved from abstract classes or interfaces. Interfaces is something we will discuss later on. I will discuss abstract classes here. Abstract class is a restricted class that cannot be used to create objects. It means when we write abstract class, when we define class abstract, it cannot create any object. We cannot create an object. We will do that in Visual Studio. Same is abstract method. Abstract method can only be used in abstract class. It does not have body. The body is provided by derived classes. And to access abstract classes, we have to use inheritance and create object from there. While doing this in programming. Let me share the screen. To define this class called public, we'll let abstract. Wait a minute. First, we'll inherit. Now, first, let's create object of this abstract class. And when we will run, it will say build error. That's the error. You cannot create instance of abstract type class interface, abstract type or interface car. So because this is abstract class, car is abstract class, so we cannot create object directly. We have to inherit, and let's create now how to access this methods. We create object of this class car2, which is inheriting the properties of abstract class. Now let's run the program. Car2. Wait a minute, I'm encountering error. Now, when I run the program, it runs. So for accessing the methods of this abstract class, we have to create, we have to inherit the object, we have to inherit that class and create object of that class. I should share the screen now.
Yes.
So we have dealt abstraction, we have did abstraction, and we have did encapsulation. So why we encapsulate? We encapsulate for data hiding, flexibility, reusability, and testing. Why we do abstraction? It reduces complexity of viewing method, viewing things. Because when we write abstract class, we can define its members in other class. I mean, we can define complex things in abstract class, and we can call it from other class. Avoid code duplication, helps to increase security of application programs, and can also be important detail. Programs as all the important details are provided to the user. Now let's see what is the difference between encapsulation and abstraction. Encapsulation is a data hiding, while abstraction is detail hiding. In encapsulation, we hide the data, we use private, and we protect that class. While in abstraction, we just hided the implementation detail. While in encapsulation groups, we groups together the data and methods and act upon the data. Data abstraction deals with exposing to the user and hiding the details of implementation. Now let's see constructor. A constructor is a special method of class which gets automatically invoked whenever an instance of class is created. It means that whenever we create a class, and when we create an object of the class, and a constructor is automatically invoked. Sorry, when we write a class and when we run the program, even if we don't write the, even if we don't create an object and object to initialize the data members, object to run object of the class. Uh, Construction is a method which is automatically run by itself and sorry, that I'm repeating. Okay, construction is a special member function method which get automatically invoked whenever an instance of class created. Whenever we create an object, default special member function is called automatically and creates is an automatic. Let's see in programming. Can see. Okay, I have written a class week. Now let's create a constructor. Okay, I've already written a constructor. This is our constructor method. It is a method of same name as class. Now let's create a class. Let's create an object of this class in main. When I will run this program, even though I have not called this method Greek, it will automatically call this function. Let's run this program. The constructor is done. So even though I haven't called this program, constructor automatically gets called, invoked automatically. Yes. And constructor are used to initialize our data members, our class members. For example, int a. If I don't initialize it here, initialize it in here. Int p. Obj dot a. If we make it accessible, by default it is private. We will deal with this later. Ashish, share the screen. So we are ending the session here in Constructor. If anybody has any doubt, you can ask.